Welcome to SheExperts, Breaking Barriers Through Sports. This is a series of the ITK podcast, Experts in Global Sports, Voices of Change. Listen to unshared knowledge, projects, experiences, and stories of the ITK women in sports. Ceres is a physical education teacher and handball coach since 2006. She's also a handball goalkeeper, and she was part of the team that gained the third place in the World Handball Championship for Deaf in 2018. She participated in the ITK winter semester 2012-2013, also studying handball. Currently, she's living in Germany for a master's degree in high-performance sports. Camila is also from Brazil. She's a physical education teacher as well. Her sport is volleyball, in which she specialized in ITK in 2015. Last year, she had a project where women's soccer, beach volleyball, and beach tennis practices were offered for free. You will listen about her project at the beginning of the podcast. She also has a master in sports management and is currently doing an MBA in project management. With Camila and Ceres, we talked about their experiences as a female coach for both men and women, and how they gained their confidence to keep going in this man-dominated field. We discussed why there are no female coaches in high-level sports. And because Ceres lives in Germany now, she could compare the situation to Brazil, also in terms of access for girls to sports. So enjoy listening.
I'm Camila. I went to ITK classes in 2015 for volleyball, and I've played volleyball my whole life, so it's kind of my thing. And although volleyball is my thing, I realized that in Brazil, soccer is very popular among men, but women has no room to play. They are not considered able to, because it's like a male sport and it has contact, etc. And because of that, I decided to write a project on ITK Changemaker program in 2021. And after that, I got a sponsorship, and we managed to have this project going on for a year. So we offered not only soccer, but beach tennis and volleyball classes for free for all women who would like to go and play and have fun with no regard, like with no, how can I say, there was no high level volleyball or soccer or beach tennis, but they were playing just for fun and for moving the bodies. And it was really fun. We had lots of positive feedbacks and lots of messages of gratitude and stuff, because we know how difficult it is to play these sports in specific, especially because in São Paulo we don't have beach, and these beach sports are very expensive to play, especially beach tennis. If you think about all the things you need for, it's very expensive and it's very elite. So people never had the chance to try before this. So I feel very grateful. And the soccer part is also very interesting, because in Brazil we have this rise of women's soccer, but it's still very unpopular among women and children, because it's like a man thing. So we managed to make this a very safe space where women could try and see if they like and even develop themselves. So it was really nice for the whole year to make this.
And you said it's not very popular for women to do these kind of sports. How did you get the access to volleyball?
Volleyball, it's more accessible, especially because it has no body contact. So women usually are how can I say?
Incentivated. Incentivated. Like in school, the boys will play soccer and the girls will play volleyball. That's
Exactly.
law
So in
and
Brazil,
schools.
it's very popular for women to play volleyball because it's more such a feminine thing. There's no body contact, and it's more. Uh, you can play without losing your femininity, like you have to be feminine and stuff. You have the shorts are really short and you show your body, so like it's very gender driven. So we have this stereotype that volleyball girls are more feminine and soccer girls are more masculine, like, and it's not true. So because of that, Brazil had this law a few years ago, almost like 40 years ago, that forbid women to play any contact sports or fight. So they couldn't play box, judo, or anything related to fights, and also not soccer or rugby or anything that had contact, because it was not good for their feminine bodies. So
It was actually forbidden.
it was actually forbidden for like
Wow,
40
okay.
years.
Wow.
So that's why we fight for girls nowadays to be able to play and everything they'd like to, not only sports that we are meant to play, as society says. So that's why soccer is a big thing for us, because we are known for soccer. In the men's soccer is very popular in Brazil, and we have titles and we won World Cups and stuff, but it's not the same for women. We are not sponsored. We don't get money, so it's not funded. It's not, like, it's not something that girls usually go for. But it's kind of changing the couple years, since 2019 with the World Cup in Paris. It changed a little bit. It has gained visibility and stuff, but it's still, we have a long way to go.
That sounds pretty similar to the situation in Germany. Maybe Ceres, you can compare that a bit better because you live in Germany right now. And how do you see this development in terms of access for girls to sport in general, or maybe speaking about soccer?
I think here, I think everyone has more access to sports, sports facilities, sports training. I think sports in general are more accessible here. You have the children are invited to enroll in some sport. What I saw here, and I talked to some Brazilians that live here and have kids, is that school is too full, and then they find difficult to find activities after school because they leave at 4. So sometimes the parents have a hard time finding, and there are more groups for male than female. Then, I gave a class to some Brazilian kids, and then this kid was really passionate about sports, but her mother is not finding because she's a girl, and then they have some, for her age, already separated male, female, and it's hard to find a time that she can go and play. But I think people have more access to sport here. This prejudice, I think here, it's a little bit less, in a way that even teenagers, they practice together sometimes, and it's not really seen as so different, at least for handball. I was giving classes for children and both genders together, and 15 years old, 16 years old playing together. But I think that people don't speak about it, but the female teams, they have less access, have less sponsors. So at a female team, it's always less visible. Like I play in a team that has 2 male, 1 and 2, and 1 female, and we see that the boys, even the team 2, gets more attention than us. They have more structure than us. And they have a better terrain in the same better court in the same time that we play. We have the training the same time. We are training the other side of the city in a really bad court, and they are playing in the best court near to everyone. And they are the second team for male, and we are the first team for female. So, and we just got in an upper league, so we are not a bad team for the level of our club. So it's the small things, you know. It's always in the small things. So I was practicing, and I'm an experienced goalkeeper, and I'm a coach for almost 20 years, and I'm a goalkeeper's coach. I was goalkeeper's coach in the camp of national team in Brazil. So I'm experienced coach and an experienced player. And I was saying, you know, in practice, sometimes you put more effort, put less effort. I was the only goalkeeper in that practice, and it was like shooting practice. So you don't put all your effort because you have to manage your energy also. And then there are two boys from the second team. They are practicing with us. And then one of them felt entitled to tell me how I should defend. You know, he was a pretty bad player. He's old man, but I think he was never a really high level player for the way I see him playing now. But he's involved in the club, you know. But he has no right to come and tell me how I should defend. It's really disrespectful, because a woman would never do that in a male's team, because she would be ignored or mistreated, or they would joke about her, because it's really disrespectful. And never saw me play. He doesn't know how I play. I just want to correct me, but he's not a coach. If he was a coach, then maybe. But then I will explain, no, I'm like, it's training, you know, and a coach will know that you cannot put 100% all the time in a shooting training with 200 shoots and one goalkeeper in one training. You cannot put all your effort there. But I was so, I didn't know what to do, because my will was to say really bad stuff, but I don't know that German that well. So, but it's always these little things, you know. They say they incentivize female athletes, and more than in Brazil. But I think it's different. It's always treated differently. And in Brazil, women are getting more space, but we have the same problem. I think people in general has less access to sports, so female, we have less access to sports. Maybe we're in Brazil, we're seeing this way, like you have to be feminine, you have to be afraid of the ball. And here in Germany, maybe not that much. So more girls in Germany want to play, I think. But the girls in Brazil that want to play, maybe they are really involved in that, but they lack space. They need space to play. If you give them space, they will play. And I think it's more difficult for us in Brazil to play together with boys. I don't like it. I don't play. I don't really like playing with boys. I think I cannot express myself playing when I'm playing with boys. No matter how well I play, it's not the same. I like to play with women. That's how I can free myself from defense. Like I want to defend my whole body for not to get hurt. So when I'm playing with girls, I can free myself. And then here they mix more. I don't know if it's good or not. In Brazil, there are some people that defend that we have to have together. I am really against it. Maybe some spaces, yes, but I think women need a space for us to feel safe to play. And for football, I believe girls here, they play less than in Brazil. I think I've seen when I play like in warm up in handball, when I play football, they say, "Oh, you play so well." And okay, I play football like every person in Brazil plays football. I think everyone in Brazil can play a little bit of football, you know. And I think here I don't see that much. I don't think girls are born with the ball in their foot like in Brazil. I think everyone in Brazil kicks the ball. You see, you play with other kids, so you end up playing football at some point.
Camila, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ceres says. It's more like from early ages we're encouraged to express ourselves as feminines, and although volleyball is very popular amongst women, Just recently, we like last month, like really recently, we got a female coach on the national team under 17s. So it's, you know, like even though we are encouraged to play volleyball, as coaches we don't have much space. So I was looking for pictures from earlier national teams, and you cannot find a woman in charge of the physiotherapy or medical care or scout or assistant coach or even
Maybe
less head coach.
psychologist.
It's really rare, at least in volleyball. I don't see women taking this space on national teams. And when you find women in charge as head coaches, for example, usually they are on the under 20s, under 17s, you know, they are not on the main team. It seems like although we have a lot of really good coaches, women are seen as like caretakers. So they are really good with children and youngsters, but they are not good enough for the adult team, for the senior team, for the national team. So we are always looking for space as coaches. And this was really big thing in Brazil for this former player to become coach, but it's small steps that we are taking. And so yeah, it's complicated.
No different here. Sorry to say that. No different at all. Here I'm looking for internship for teams to coach, and I really like children. I don't intend. Maybe if someone invite me to be a high level adult team coach, I will be. I know how to do it, but I don't like it. I like children. I like teenagers. But anyway, I was looking for internship in any level, any age, and then I talked to my coach and some other coaches I know here, and all of them, no exception, they say, "Oh, it's difficult because this states Ireland has no really high level female handball, and there are not many female teams here." And I was like, "I'm not playing. I'm not asking a team to play. I'm asking a team to coach. So it doesn't matter if it's male or female." And then every coach, every says that, and I was like, "Why? Why? You have to be female to coach a female team, then it would be good. If we had to be a female to coach a female team, that would be perfect for me. But it's not like that. So I can coach a teenagers team. That is no different here."
It's funny because I always coached men from early ages. When I was in college, I coached men and at university, and nowadays I coach men as well. But if you go to higher levels, you cannot coach higher level. Like the first female coach, as I told now, she's coaching women because like people think women can only coach women. I don't get it. And even though if the higher the level, the less women you get as coaches. So it's incredible how even though the female sports are growing, as soccer, for example, soccer in Brazil is growing, but when you see the coaches, they are always men, like 90% of the time. So when you find like a women coach, it's like, oh gosh, I'm so fan of her. Like, it's like, it's really good for us to see.
And it's usually a really important athlete. When you get a coach that got to high level team or to national team, she was a big athlete. Like
she was an Olympic athlete.
The coach from under 17, right? She got the national team. She was one of the most important athletes in Brazil history. Then you get a name, and then maybe you get there. But if you are not that, if you are just a coach, you just study, because a coach needs to play, not study. I don't know what people understand about that, but it's really difficult. I thought it would be different here in Germany, but I'm seeing exactly the same things I saw in Brazil. It's fun.
It's definitely like this. Yeah, I wrote my master thesis exactly about this topic. I interviewed female coaches in Germany, trying to find out also the reasons why it is like this. And I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think? What's the reason? Like, the higher you go, the less women you see, even if you're speaking about female teams, because most of also the female teams are coached by men.
It's prejudice.
I've discussed this a lot. I've doing, like lectures and stuff about this. And what do we see the most is the gender stereotype. So if you are a woman in leadership position, you kind of have to navigate the masculinity of things. And I don't agree that's masculine, but you have to be more assertive. You have to be tough. You have to make decisions. And as women, we are not seen that way. We have to be fragile. You have to be kind. You have to be soft. So every time you talk about leadership in sports specifically, as a coach, you have to be more assertive. You have to speak up. You have to be, like you have to be direct. And these are seen as a masculine stereotype, and also it comes with this this kind of idea of your sexual orientation. For example, if you do this, you look like a lesbian, and this is not good. Like people sum up these things, and it's all based on prejudice, and it doesn't really make sense if you think about it, because we studied, we need this to be a good coach and stuff, but then you fall out on the spectrum of lesbianism, or you're too masculine, and if you're feminine, you're not capable. So it's really confusing for us, for like, should I be more masculine or not? Because if I'm too feminine, I'm good for taking care of children and youngsters, and I'm not a good leader. But if I'm a good leader, and then I'm like, oh, these women, she's more like, she's not straight, as if this was a problem, because it doesn't matter your sexual orientation for your job. But it's still, people suffer a lot of prejudice for this.
Yeah. I think also we are not seen as capable to think. So everything we say, it's put in doubt. So you always have to prove yourself. And at some point, I think I've reached this point. I'm trying to go back to who I was, but at some point we start fighting too much, because you start seeing it. Like this guy, I think 10 years ago, I wouldn't notice the guy was giving me a suggestion because he's a man and he thinks he's better than me. But now I see it, and now it bothers me too much. And then maybe I shouldn't fight that much. But it's difficult for us because it's all the time. And when I was a coach in the university, and as Camila said, in university you have a little bit more access to male teams. They need coaches, and there are a lot of girls. And then I coached a lot of male teams in university. But once I was invited to interview for a team that I played before there. I played for 4 years with them, and I was one of the best players in the history of that team. And then I went to physical education course, and I was invited to go to this interview with them. And then they interviewed me and said, oh, we like the way you think and everything. But then they say, oh, we just decided we wanted a man. Like that, like cruel, and they didn't try to find an excuse. And it was a female team. So I play there. It's a female team. And then I faced them with the team I was training previously. And in university, the amount of people that enter in that school, it's directly related to how good is that team. Because if you have like that team, they got 400 people entering the school every year. So they had more people to choose. So that team was really stronger than the other that I was training. That 80 people. It's one course, 80 people every year enter. And then I had this really, really, they were not weak. They were training a lot, and they had their strengths, but it's difficult for you to get with 80 people every year. against one group that and 400 entered. And my girls were really, really disciplined, and they do whatever I told them to do, they will do it. If they don't believe they could do, I say, you can go, and they do. And then I play against them, a handball player, and they had like some as professional players and everything. And I was like, we need to win this, because I was too mad, and we need to win. My girls deserve that, and I deserve that. And we won 5 against 4, like 5 goals against 4 goals. And it's ridiculous in handball because it's 2 little goals. But our defense was so strong and our tactics were so strong, and we won that game. And I was like, okay, you get your man, hug him, get him. If you want a man, you get a man. But I'm a better coach than him. And I show that. I show that my work, it speaks for itself. But it's really difficult. If I lost that game, and the man really chooses the good coach because he chooses a man, it's okay. I think you should try to change the mindset all the time. We women, we should think about it, but sometimes we don't. I don't see many female teams with female coaches, and sometimes we have the opportunity to choose or to at least suggest. If all the girls in the team said we prefer a woman, but girls don't prefer a woman also. That's the problem. Girls don't watch women's sports.
Sometimes it's just like, oh, too many women together, it gets too hormonal, things get crazy, too emotional, and it's all part of the stereotype, and it's not really true. So it's complicated in this manner, because even women athletes, they sometimes say, oh no, we don't like women coaches because it gets too confusing, too emotional, and it's not real.
They scream.
Yeah.
If a man screams, it's okay, but if a woman screams, I think it's too high pitch. Then they feel really bad. But a man can scream whatever. There's no problem.
But you said, I think, if I understood it correctly, you both coached men before and also women. Do you feel like, okay, you had this job, and do you feel like the men, like the athletes, respected you less than the women that you coached?
No, I can't say that.
I think initially,
because we are speaking. No, I don't think I struggled with this, but because they chose me in the university, so they kind of asked me to coach them. So I believe they already knew my skills and my strengths. So I didn't have any problem, any issues at all. But we are talking about university level in Brazil. It's not like university level in the US. It's very amateur. People do it for fun, and sometimes people don't even play before, like they are learning. So this is why I think I didn't have an issue. And now I work in this community center, and I am coaching both men and women, and I don't see difference on the way they treat me now. But in the beginning, I kind of had to prove myself over and over, so they see how good I am. They question me all the time. They are trying to test me all the time, even though they were not players, they just playing for fun. And still they think it's okay to test me in the beginning. So I see some questioning, some doubting, but now after I'm 4 years with this group, so now I think they respect me as a coach.
That's what I feel. In the university, as I felt the same way, because they choose you, they hire you. So that's not someone that's hiring for coach them. They as a group choose you. So they respect a little bit more. But I felt like you have to prove yourself in the beginning a lot. And after some time, it's okay. Here, I felt this too. And last week, I had to give a practice alone because the other coach wasn't there. And I don't speak really well German. So I talked to them in the beginning. I said, "Oh, I don't speak well German, so I'll demonstrate everything, and then you just try to do it. If any doubts, you can help each other." And it was like 10 goalkeepers, so it was like shooting, shooting, shooting. And I had one field player that could shoot for me, so I don't have to shoot all the balls. But he was shooting, and I think it was too light and everything. And they were like kind of distracted and not really putting themselves into that. And I said, "Oh, then let me shoot, let me shoot." And then I put the exercise, but I just just really strong balls over them. And there was like, I think 3 boys and the rest of the girls, but they got like this. And then they woke up for the training and they start dedicating themselves. So they have 1 practice per week for goalkeepers. It's supposed to be the high level because they are trying to get to the sports school. So they should dedicate themselves. But they were like, and then I just put some speed in the game on the training, and then they start training better. But it's really difficult because you have to prove yourself. And sometimes, at least for me as a handball goalkeeper trainer, we do some stuff that seems crazy. Goalkeepers training is a lot of coordination, a lot of dealing with unexpected. So we do a lot of coordination exercises. And if the goalkeeper don't trust you, they think that is stupid. It seems stupid, yes. And I had other coaches that look at me, okay, I believe you, just give your training. I believe in the end, this goalkeeper will get better. And one coach that coached with me, she was like that. She invited me to coach goalkeepers. They said, "We women, we have to be together. So I need a goalkeepers trainer. I'll get a woman to go with me." And I was really beginner then. And she looked at me and said, "She's crazy." And she said, "Focus on this girl because the other is really bad. So just focus on this one." And I focus on both. And then after 1 month, the really bad one was playing better than the first one because I gave her attention. So she dedicated herself a lot because she was so happy that I gave her attention. And she needed coordination. So I did some coordination exercise for both of them. And she had too much to get better. So she got really fast. She was like, what did you do with this woman? She's really playing well now. But you have to believe. I don't know, volleyball, sometimes you just give it this training and the person see, I'm training to do that. But the goalkeepers know, just throwing balls up and holding and a lot of things that doesn't seem like handball. But it works. In the end, it works. But you need to feel confident to do your work, like you want to do it and not showing to the other coaches. And sometimes I feel myself showing off, like I need to do something really people can see it's good training. And it's difficult. It's difficult to have to prove yourself all the time. It's really exhausting, I'd say.
And yeah, I feel like both of you are very confident and strong and you can prove yourself. Where do you think did you gain this confidence or also this strength from to always like keep fighting and keep proving yourself? Maybe Camila first.
I think we have to feel confident because otherwise you cannot do your job. But as Ceres said, and I said before as well, we have to prove ourselves all the time. So I have my degree, both of us studying the best university of Brazil. So we have a kind of good degree, and then I have a master's, and I have an ITK specialization, and still, if a man just says something against me or different than what I said, I still have to prove myself, even though the man doesn't play or never coached or is just a beginner. So still, as women, you have to prove ourselves all the time. And if you don't look confident, if you're scared or feel shy or anything, you just pretend you are not and speak up for yourself. Like even when I don't feel confident, I have to pretend I am and show up as a very confident and strong woman, so they can respect me. So I think I kind of learned how to deal with this through the years, but it's not like, oh, I'm such a good coach, like I don't feel that, but I kind of have to be like that so people trust me and believe me. And as time passes by, and then you see how resourceful you are, and then you kind of start believing yourself as well. So I think that's it. If I have to tell something to a women, to all the women who are coaching and have to prove themselves, in the beginning you have to pretend you're confident, and then as time passes, you start getting confident for real.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Fake
Yes.
until you make it.
Kind of that. I think for me, it's more the way I was raised thing. So I have only brothers all older than me, but my parents always gave me autonomy and always believed in me and always they never did this kind of thing like, oh, you are a girl, you cannot do that, so we can do whatever, and we won't say for you to do this or do that. So I never went to female things like ballet or something because I never got interested. If I got, they would take me through, but I didn't. So I went to judo, I went to basketball, I went to handball, I went to football, and they let me free to be myself. So at some part of my life, I started dressing like a boy. So I was a boy basically for a long part of my life. And then I grew up, I become an adult, and I start being more girly. I start painting my nails. I start dressing more girly. But that's who I am. And I had the time to experience everything. I never stopped being a girl. But I felt more comfortable maybe that way, dressing with clothes that will allow me to move more than like a really tight t-shirt that won't allow me to move, to explore my body, my movement. And maybe that was why, but I don't know. But I know that they let me be free, and they always say whatever you can do, you do it. And I was always like this. So I think for a long time, I didn't experience sexism in many aspects because I'm too big, so I'm not frail. So this fear that usually women feel, I don't feel that much because I can protect myself a little bit more. And some guys, they won't even try it because I'm really big and I'm really strong and the way I talk, so they don't feel comfortable to patronize too much because they know that I will answer in the middle, and I don't care. I will answer. I don't care. But sometimes this is a bad thing for me. That sometimes it closed doors for me because I just say it. I don't like what I did. And some places, but then I feel like the places that are worthy, they will get that. So I was working in Brazil with a female team, and we talked with a coach, it's called Cubano, and he's a really experienced guy. He played in high level in Cuba and then in Brazil. And he always said to me, you are the goalkeeper's coach, you got the girls, you talk to them, you do the training you want. And I felt like in the beginning I was trying to show up, so I wasn't doing my training, I was doing a training that I think he expected. But after some time I felt that he gave me space and he really believed in me. He never doubted anything I do, just do it. But even him, one day he did something that really bothered me. And we were dividing a court in the national team, and the other goalkeeper's training did one thing, I did another, but the thing I did was different. It was not the common thing. And the other guy was supposed to do the same thing, but he didn't understand, so he did the thing that everybody does. And then he corrected me. And I was like, why did you change the girls? No, it's like this. And then after that, I told him, you work with me. You work with me every day. You say you believe me. And then when two people were doing two different things, you thought the wrong one was me. And he was like, well, I was protecting you because I thought you were doing it wrong. I said, yes, and that's your bias. Because you saw two people, one that works with you, that you should know what she's doing, and you thought I was wrong, and he was right, and he was wrong, I was right. So he was like, oh no, sorry, and everything. But he's like, one of the best person I ever met in my life. I'm not criticizing, but it's something that it's in everyone. It's we have to fight this prejudice every day, and for ourselves also, because sometimes maybe I will listen more to a male coach than a female coach. I have to do that too for myself. I have to all the time think, am I being like that also? Because I think we are, because we were raised like that.
Yeah, also keep fighting, but also maybe doubting yourself and like reflecting also on your own behavior. But yeah, that's interesting. Like the way you grew up, like gave you the confidence, but then also it's important that there are other people like mentors or people that like believe in you and say, yeah, you can also do that, and that give you also this space to grow. Like if you don't have this opportunity, then you cannot fake it till you make it, because no one gives you the chance to fake it. Like yeah,
Exactly.
I have to be allowed to ask, we have to be allowed to ask, we have to be allowed to have doubts, because if you have to all the time fake it to make it, then sometimes you just be stubborn and some wrong things, and sometimes you have to have the right to say, I'm not good at this, please help me. And it's important to have this space too.
Yeah, I think we're already at the end of this podcast. And my last question is always if you have some advice to your younger self or like any young girl in sports or women in sports.
That's a good question. I think I would say keep on learning, keep on studying, and just go for whatever you like because you're capable of it. So no matter how people say you're not capable or you're not fit for this, don't believe them and do whatever you feel like doing. You can do anything, you can pursue any career, so just go for it. Never give up.
Yeah, I think it's similar my advice, but it's never give up. But look for spaces that you let to grow. They exist. So if it's not comfortable in this place, move to another place, but don't stop the sport. Keep a sport in your life. It's important, and no matter if you are going to be an athlete or not going to be an athlete, if this is going to be your career, it's important to focus, it's important to health, it's important to quality of life, to mental health. So but keep playing, and if it's not comfortable the place, if you are not growing anymore, have the courage to leave and go somewhere else. These other places exist, other opportunities they exist. So if some place is not good for you, leave and go somewhere else. That's my advice always.
Thank you for listening to this episode of SheExperts, Breaking Barriers Through Sports, a podcast of the international trainer course, Experts in Global Sports. If you feel addressed by what has been said, if you might have similar projects or ideas or experiences, if you have any resources to support the woman I spoke to, any ideas, funds, knowledge or skills, or if you just liked listening to this podcast, get in touch with ITK Women on Instagram and Facebook and be part of the community. You, me, us must protect women's rights and bodies. Together, we break all barriers through sports. It starts with us and with you.